Great, thanks so much for joining everyone today. I'm Camilla, I'm the University Relations Manager at Kubrick. So I'm here to keep you guys connected with all the opportunities that we have going on, and in particular, our Business Insights Analyst stream, which we're launching in January. I'm glad today to be joined by Elmira. She's our Associate Principal in our Business Insights practice, and she's got a lot to share in terms of the content and everything you'll learn as a Business Insights Analyst at Kubrick. And we also have Selva, who's on our recruitment team and can answer any questions about the process, how to apply, what we look for, and how to get started on your application with us. Thanks both for joining. You get to hear from them in just a minute's time. So firstly, for those who haven't heard of Kubrick before, we are a data, AI, and cloud consultancy with a bit of a twist on a normal model. So we're all about bringing new talent into the industry, particularly focused on bringing more diversity and different backgrounds into tech. At the end of the day, we are delivering technology solutions for clients, which really deliver business value and change the way that traditional organizations in banking, retail, energy, travel, pretty much all sectors are operating. So we're really looking for people with a fresh perspective to come in from all majors. And how we do that is by training consultants for 4 months, pay them to train to lower the barriers to entry, which means that we can bring in more diversity. We've trained over 1,500 consultants to date, and that's across our UK headquarters and our locations here in the US now. We support over 100 global organizations to do so. And we're really passionate about overcoming the gender divide in technology in particular. So we hold ourselves accountable to hiring at least 40% female and non-binary consultants. But our US talent pool to date has been over 50% female, which is really exciting because technology has stayed about 20% females in tech roles over the last 20 years. So it's really important to be kind of overcoming that divide as well. How we do that is we find people from all backgrounds, very much like yourselves who are on the call today. So we're looking for people with a passion and enthusiasm for data and technology in the way that it's changing the future of our industries. We really don't ask for anything more than that. No prior data or coding experience required. But if you have done any in either your major, your minor, or other projects, it's a great way of showcasing that passion. We train you for 4 months immersively. That training is paid. You are a full-time member of Kubrick from day 1 of your training. And we have an amazing array of trainers who come in to provide their expertise, either from their time on client site, if they were previous consultants, which is what Elmira was, and she can talk a bit about that in a minute. We also have people with 17 years plus experience in the industry from Morgan Stanley, Microsoft, and other leading organizations who've chosen to come in-house and kind of help bring up the next generation of tech experts themselves. We then match you to client placements for our Business Insights analysts. That will be placements in New York and the tri-state area for our January cohort. And so we match you based on your strengths that you discovered throughout your training, as well as your kind of prior experience. So if you do have any industry experience or a particular major that's suited to one of our clients, we'll take that into account. Just try to get you set up for the career path that's of most interest to you and you can deliver the most value. And throughout the entire time that you're on site, which is 2 years of consulting after your 4 months of training, you have a dedicated people representative who's checking in on your personal development and professional development, helping you navigate your career pathway throughout your client placement. And also thinking about your future options after your 2 years of consulting. So after the 2 years, about 90% of our clients say they had an amazing time with our consultants. They embedded into the team, they understand their business, and they'd love to keep them as full-time members of staff. And we love that for our consultants. We very much see ourselves as a pathway into these world-leading organizations for the people who join Kubrick. So about 75% of our consultants go on to join their client full-time. But for those who either want to stay on as a senior consultant, we've got roles leading teams of juniors, and it's a great way to harness your skills in project management and leadership. And we also have roles within our training team, like Elmira, where you come back in after 2 years and you take that experience from on site and you apply it to areas of technological interest to yourself. So you might become a bit of an SME, subject matter expert in a particular tool or tech, and you help shape and deliver our future training for consultants. So loads of options if you want to look beyond the 2.5 years initially with Kubrick, but the 4 months of training and the 2 years of consulting is our kind of standard pathway. And what does that look like for becoming a business insights analyst? So we really wanted to set the scene as to why this is an important industry to get into, what it means for your future career acceleration beyond 2 years of consulting with Kubrick. Undoubtedly, it's the fastest growing industry in the US, about 50% roles added year on year within the sort of data and cloud engineering analytics space. So it is a more sought after role than traditional data science at this point. We really need people coming into the industry who can prepare data in a way that's manageable for organizations and delivers real insight. And at the end of the day, organizations that are making better use of their data, even if that's just increasing consumption by 10%, will see huge returns. So there's massive investment and continued growth. And I include the last point there, thinking about the volume of data that's being created, just that, you might have heard the slightly incorrect saying that data is the new oil when it comes to the value of data, but it's actually inverse where, we're not losing a resource here year on year, it's actually growing. And what that means for the future of your career is pretty unlimited potential. I mean, I'll let Elmira jump in here a little bit. Why did you want to get into data? What's your kind of background before that? And what excites you about the future of your career in data?
Thanks, Camilla, and hi, folks. As Camilla said, I'm Elmira. So at the moment, I'm in associate principal team back with Kubrick. However, my background actually is in molecular biology. So at college, and I hope I'm using the right words here for US folks, at college, I specialized in research and molecular biology, and I was envisioning a completely different career for myself. But last year of college, I picked a bunch of, statistics modules, etc., statistics classes. And this was my first exposure to actually interacting with code. And I realized that this is actually really nice. And there's actually an anecdotal story how I met a person on the plane who said that they were a data scientist and they were just working remotely. And I thought I'm going to be sitting in a lab for the rest of my life, doing some sort of stuff with Petri dishes, but that did not happen. So I started Googling and I found out about Kubrick and the great stuff that they do, because they take people from all the backgrounds here and we get trained and we are paid and we're supported. And then we are opened to this market of all the awesome careers out there that, as Camilla mentioned, and you see on this very slide, just keeps growing. And to be very frank, I actually don't know myself yet what exactly I want as my next step, because the choice is that big, actually. People are needed, you all are needed, and Kubrick will help you to get those skills and get out there and open a myriad of opportunities. This is also the exact reason why I really got excited about a career in data. It's just because the learning never stops and the amount of opportunities on the market and being in demand is just never ending. So I believe this is a really great choice if you're into the working with data, doing some cool stuff, and always learning.
Amazing. Thanks, Elmira. And yeah, absolutely. I think it's a pretty exciting market, especially here in the US. But what does it mean to be in business insights analytics in particular? We're really looking for people to combine technical skill, which we'll teach in our training, with business acumen, again, all covered in holistic training, and we'll go over that in just a minute, to kind of work across the data and business teams to create solutions which are driving downstream insights, which businesses need now more than ever. Elmira, kind of in your words, what do you think it means to be a business insights analyst? And what are we kind of looking for in that practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So business insights analytics, the new practice we're launching, is actually super exciting, because essentially you will be that glue, to the business, where they're trying to build all the nice and cool things with the data and technology. But also downstream, there are people who need to act on all the cool things that were built. And this is exactly where you come in. You are that bridge. You are actually that key person or key people, I should say, key teams, who will make sure that the value is actually unlocked. All of those investments into technologies are worth it. And as a result, you can see a bunch of words in here that might not make too much sense just yet, but fear not. This is why the training is there for you for 4 months. And it means that you will get the skill to be able to be that irreplaceable person, making sure that the data is used the way it should, and the latest standards are applied, and people are talking and people are happy. So this is why this practice is really, really exciting, because it's very needed.
Very needed, and very much the latest tools and tech, which we'll get on to.
Exactly.
So this is a quick snapshot of the training syllabus. All the things and more you will cover in the 4 months of training comprehensively. Elmira, are there any particular tools or tech that stand out in this area, or how they interact, that you'd love to highlight to everyone on the call?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, for those of you who see many words in your first time and acronyms like ETLs, ELTs, CICDs, fear not, we will go through them during our training. Some of them you'll hear from myself, actually. So this is going to be exciting. The things that I would advise you to have a look at is, see the point, for example, in the second column with data engineering, there is ETL and ELT. So at the moment, the industry of data is going through like a conversion. So we're going away from ETL, we're going into ELT. So maybe if you want to do some prime reading or try and understand what's the industry shaping like, maybe this could be a worthwhile time investment for you. Obviously, you see in column 3, data analytics, this is where we want our business insight analysts to shine. So you will be able to actually interpret the data and be that key person in the team, making sure everyone is talking the right talking and everyone is talking about the same. We use the data actually correctly. So you'll get plethora of opportunities to practice interpreting data with project-based learning and actually giving back the presentations and getting feedback on those presentations from your trainers, so that you will be ready to deliver value when you are with your client. Exciting things again in column 3, I'm sure for most of you, are things like data visualization, maybe tapping a little bit into causal inference and actually interpretable statistics that people understand. And the point too about data modeling with best practices, so data transformations and modeling with DBT, really, really hot topic in US market as well. It's actually a new addition, so you will be unique consultants in Kubrick with this skill at the moment. So we're excited to bring this one to your curriculum. Obviously, the columns number 1 and number 4, they are there as a wrapper of all the good practices, all the good standards that exist in the industry. The architectural principles, column number 1, is there to make sure you have that solid foundation to build all your business insight analytics specific skills, so you will see architecture there, like how are those technologies actually tied between each other, why each exists, for what reason, how do you choose one over the other. So we'll make sure you're comfortable with those concepts and all the best kind of industry standards and good practices at the moment that exist. And finally, the business skills in column number 4 that you see is what everyone as Kubrick consultant gets, and is what makes us and you specifically ready to go and jump on that client journey, making sure that you are representing your bestest self and bringing value, because you will be able to use, the tools that teams use on client side themselves, and you will get them practiced throughout those 4 months. So the agile, the DevOps mindsets, the stakeholder engagement, the business etiquette, and things like that, you will get all of that as part of your training, making sure you're well-rounded, nice data consultant ready to jump on the journey.
Amazing.
Obviously, if there will be any questions on the content, please check them. We'll be happy to address. But yes, a lot of jargon in there. Don't fear. It's going to be exciting for months for you, I'm sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Elmira. Wonderful. And just life and training, I think we've already touched on what you're actually going to cover. But when it comes to how we deliver that training, I think, Elmira, you already mentioned we've kind of got those project-based assessments. So it's very much not just your standard sit and learn to code. You're not just sitting in front of a computer, but you are applying your learning as you go. So we have a combination of instructor-led training, self-led training with our materials, teamwork, group projects, and making sure that you're tying in technology solutions with a business-focused approach, so that you're always presenting to stakeholders, learning to gather their requirements to create projects which are exactly what people are actually looking for in their solutions, not just the coolest way to solve something. This will include, the training will be remote up to week 13, and then the final 4 weeks of your training will be in person in our New York office, which will focus largely on those business skills and getting the chance to work in person, developing that commercial acumen, and then delivering a 2-week project sprint. So you get a chance to see a project out in its entirety from start to finish, working a team, working in Agile, to deliver something so that when you do go on site, you've done that end-to-end project delivery, which is also really important. And finally, once you're on client site, everyone's experience differs enormously. People are in different industries, working in different projects, everything from kind of process automation and analytics through to kind of delivering cloud-based solutions. So Elmira, can you touch on your time on client site before you entered Kubrick's associate principal stream? And what might our business insights analysts expect from their client projects?
Exactly. Good question. So with regards to my time on client site, I finished training as a data engineer in February 2020. And I went to client site with financial institution, and being trained as a data engineer, I was actually more involved in data platforms and supporting data platforms. However, I spent about 9 months working on ideation and initiation of a new project and actually embedding a new custom solution. So that was an exciting part when I got to develop my product ownership skills. So those kind of stakeholder engagement skills, and I spoke to senior people and got exposure to a lot of parts of business. So my experience was really varied. Like I did the technical and kind of the ownership stakeholdery parts, which was exciting. So that was cool. And after I've left my client side, they were at the point where they were considering to migrate to the new tools. So what you will find out as business insights analysts, we are expecting that you folks will be using those state-of-the-art technologies, maybe so-called modern data stack tools that enable the insights to be derived in a standardized manner, so that no one is confused about what's a new user, what's an active user, what does it actually mean in the business, how the two are different, so questions like that is what you'll be helping to make sure are standardized. So make sure the decision makers, your stakeholders, your business people are sure in their data, because you've done your due diligence, you've done the good practices that you were trained during your training. Obviously, building dashboards, providing answers to questions with the actual data. So there's a plethora, there's a variety of things you can expect to do on client side. And obviously, you should keep in mind that most likely it will be a subset of the skills that you will learn. So you will learn breadth of skills at a good level, at a good foundational level. However, when you go on client side, you will get to build more kind of, on top of their specific needs of the client side that you'll be working. Some will be building more dashboards, some will be providing more standardized data sets and things like that. So I guess this is a summary.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a big variety. And I think in terms of understanding the US market, Elmira and I have both spoken about it. In general, our UK consultants have been embedding into project teams for up to the full 2 years, because they're kind of taking on their organization's exact projects. And we're finding so far in the US market, there's a lot more variety and movement of our consultants and the length of projects that we're working on. So you'll also see a great deal of variety in terms of the length of project that you're on compared to other consultants. And it gives a great opportunity to either get to know a client inside out and the way they're working if you're there for longer, or get to sample different projects and industries depending on your Kubrick journey. Finally, we are recruiting now. And I want to make sure that everyone gets to hear a little bit about the process and some best practice when it comes to applying, so that you can make sure that your application is really standing out. Like we said, this first practice is beginning in January. So we are looking for people, either recent alumni or December graduates who are looking for their first role. But we do take applications on a year-round basis. So if you're not quite in that bracket yet, we will have future practices down the line. But I'm going to hand it over to Selva from our recruitment team just to walk through the process and what we're looking for.
I'm Selva. I work in the talent team here at Kubrick. I've been at Kubrick for just over 2 years now. I started in London and then moved to the US in April. And if you like what you've heard today, as Camilla mentioned, our next Business Insights Analytics training is in January, 9th of January. We're actively recruiting for that cohort now. And I definitely recommend applying if you haven't already. You can do that on our website, through Handshake, and also on LinkedIn. You can see our recruitment process outlined on this slide. So following the initial screening stage, if you're successful, you'll be invited to complete 3 virtual assessments, which consist of a logic and problem-solving test, a metric test, which focuses on how you apply commercial awareness skills to different kinds of business scenarios, and then finally a short video interview during which you'll be asked to give 3 short answers on about yourself and like what you know about the industry. After the test, you'll be invited to 2 interviews. One will be with someone from the talent team, so my team, during which we ask you about your background, again, your knowledge of the industry and why you want to join Kubrick. And the final step, the final interview is with one of our senior managers, and that's more of a commercially focused interview. In terms of what we look for in our business insights analytics consultants, it's important to note that you don't need any specific prior experience or skills to join us, because we hire on potential more than anything. It's more valuable for us to hire people that are really eager to learn and develop new skills, people that have strong communication skills, which is particularly important when you're working on client projects and interacting with different stakeholders. Commercial awareness as well, particularly around what's going on in the industry and the wider economy, is super important too, and just having a creative approach to solving problems. So if this opportunity sounds like something that you'd be interested in, like I said, we'd love to receive an application from you. And if you aren't sure if maybe the business insights analytics role is the right practice for you to go into, we are also currently hiring for our data product and data management practices, with start dates in the spring and summer next year. So maybe if the role or the start date doesn't work exactly right, there'll be other options at Kubrick that we can get you into.
Amazing, thanks, Selva. And Fab, we've got some time for questions, so go ahead and throw them in the chat if you haven't already. Okay, this is a great one. From Dan, Almira mentioned being trained as a data engineer. Does this mean there are multiple concentrations which we can apply? Are the differences in necessary qualifications, different ones? Yeah, so like Selva just mentioned, we do have different practices. So business insights analytics is our next upcoming cohort. We also have data product, which is like a technical business analyst, data management, which is looking at how data is used in the business, as well as kind of more technical streams. I mean, Almira, do you want to speak a little bit to what it means to be a different kind of consultant, and how does a training overlap and differ between our different practices?
Yeah, great question. And folks, if you're considering and some words in the actual title might throw you off, I would highly encourage you to still attempt and apply if you're interested in career in data. Why? Because at this point in time, when it's about entering and getting the skills and being paid while you're training so early into your career, it actually doesn't really matter what skills you get as part of your training, because what will shape you more into a more technical or less technical data consultant will be your placement. And as Camilla and Selva explained, it's how you expose your potential during training. So business insights analytics is actually a really technical training. I am actually looking at the training schedule now as we've designed. So you will get 2 weeks of Python, 4 weeks of SQL. You will be like the most experienced expertise SQL person out of all our practices, plus exposure to all the new tools that you saw on the slide, all the great foundations. So if you are considering that more technical side and you're actually interested in like great fundamentals for what is happening in the world of data, I would highly encourage you to try and apply for the business insights analytics. unless you want to discover more about data product and data management folks. They also do 2 weeks of Python and at least 3 weeks of SQL. So the basics of actual working with data as analyst or engineer, the foundations will be laid there throughout all the practices. So don't be discouraged by the name. If you think you want to get a career in data, apply. When I applied myself, I thought I'm going to be a data management consultant, but I got placed into a data engineering stream, So definitely listen to your heart. If it's about getting into industry, I would encourage you to try and go for it. And then you'll shape from there.
Amazing. And following on from that, we got a question from Daniel asking if psych master students are hired. Yes, we really take people from all sciences, social sciences, traditional STEM, as well as arts backgrounds for data management and data product consulting roles in particular. Some are far more communications based or business based than physical coding. It really depends on which stream you go into. You're more likely to have a technical role if you're in our business insights, either analytics or engineering streams. And with data product, you might be on the more of a project management end of the spectrum rather than creating the product yourself. But it's not to say that there aren't overlaps and opportunities to try both sides when you're on client projects. We've been asked about the 2 years of consulting, and if you decide to leave before that, because we are paying you to train immersively, provide all the equipment you need. We also provide continual upskilling opportunities throughout your 2 years on site, certifications with our tech partners like Microsoft, AWS, Calibra, other leading providers. We do ask that you give us 2 years of consulting. If you choose to leave before the 2 years is up, we may ask you for a proportional value of the cost of the training, and that's all explained in the contract. If you do have any questions of the contract, again, reach out to myself or Selva. We take it on a very much a case-by-case basis. We understand that if people have personal difficulties going on and they might not be able to complete our training or 2 years of consulting, then you'll be able to speak with our HR team about that. So it's very much case by case. Any other questions? Do you offer relocation for that 4-week in-person training? No, so the 4 weeks in person will be right before your final few weeks on site. So we'd need all our consultants to be relocated to New York by that time, because you will be placed with a client in New York or the tri-state area after your training. So that will be your contractual place of work. In terms of our clients' expectations between in-person and remote, it's very much at their discretion. The vast majority of our consultants, I think over in the US especially, are on hybrid, where they might only go in once or twice a week to their client. Some are still fully remote to their client, but due to the legalities of being contracted in New York, we will need to live in New York at the end of the training. But the first 13 weeks of training will very much be remote and give you that opportunity to seek out your relocation strategy to New York if you aren't already living in the area. Any other questions?
Could I try and answer the one from Daniel?
Yes, go for it. Jump in.
So you mentioned you don't really like coding or not good at it. So the not good at it part doesn't matter. The not really liking it might matter, because it will be a big part of your training. And we are specifically helping people get into a career in data, which does involve some sort of acumen for writing or willing to try and understand and learn to code. As we've explained, the placement process will require you to be adaptable for the client needs. So it very much depends on the project. If you understand that you're not willing to become business insights analyst, to analyze data, to create data solutions, which potentially involve technology, then maybe you should look carefully into the website and think whether this actually fits you, because it won't be executive coaching that you will be doing. We'll be working with data. And yeah, but there are a bunch of more questions that Daniel's asked. Are you willing to address those, Camilla?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Elmira mentioned, this is a technology consulting role. It's not very flexible in that we will be working in that space. And the training is tailored in different streams for whole groups of people, but is not individualized. So if you're in a particular stream, you'll have a set training program, which is different from those in another stream, such as our data product stream will be different from our business insights analytics stream, but it will be set within that. We will seek to understand your strengths and abilities throughout the training so that we can match you to a client placement that's within those realms, but the training itself won't be personalized. You will be in teams, in Agile, working together, so you're learning the same things. If you already have a data
science... I got a drop. I do have another call, if that's okay.
No worries, Almira. Thanks so much for your time. I'll cover the last of the question.
Thank you, Camilla.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
If you already have a data science or computer science degree, is there a different data engineer, analyst process or training? We appreciate that everyone comes to Kubrick with very different backgrounds. We typically take people from other backgrounds that don't have a data science, computer science degree because they might not benefit from our training to the same extent as someone with a physics degree or someone kind of working on the outskirts or a traditional engineering degree. But we are open to exploring kind of what your background has been within those degree types, and some of our more technical roles might require that. We also have a business insights engineering stream, which is also starting in January, but that will be based in Texas and Florida. So if you're looking for something more technical than the business insights analyst role and want to go more into engineering, given your background and experience, then we also have that role open. Our in-person training is in our New York office, which is in the Rockefeller Center, so extremely central. You'll be in Midtown, in the heart of New York, very near our clients, and very accessible from all subways. And so that's where the 4 weeks of training take part. And that's great because you get to meet a lot of people in the business and get to know Kubrick staff who work behind the scenes in our HQ, not just your training team. If you are located in the tri-state area or near New York, it's not to say that you, if you're able to commute, if you're in commutable distance, then that's something we can work out with our HR team. It really depends on your client placement, but we require some geographic flexibility because our clients are largely based in New York, although we do have others in New Jersey and surrounding areas. So it's something that we'll need to discuss on a more contractual level. We also do have plenty of opportunities for 2023. You'll see those on our handshake. We're recruiting for a data product beginning in April and our data management beginning in July. So look up those. And when it comes to client placements, we'll do our best to understand your interests, but ultimately it's very much determined by client demand. We'll see some clients offering far more roles at certain points in their project lifecycle than other clients. It's very much the nature of consulting that you'll be assigned to the project based on client demand. Unfortunately, this time we're not offering visa sponsorship. We are an international organization ourselves. We're newly established in the US. We're unable to sponsor international students at this time. Any other question? Are there any benefits offered during the trust year? Yeah, during the training period, you are a full-time member of staff. Sorry, this is answering the question about our benefits. So because you are a full-time employee of Kubrick from day one, you will have all of our healthcare, dental benefits, access to all our full-time staff benefits from day one of your training. So it's very much not different. So we're pleased to be able to offer that to all of our consultants in training. I'm just looking through, we are running out of time. I did want to keep this, but I'm happy to keep going with questions if other people are still available for them. One person has asked, how does this company set me apart from people who've been doing coding for years before me? Because our training provides that business acumen skill, which is hard to find in more academic routes. So our consultants aren't just learning how to code and create kind of data products or solutions, but they're learning how to deliver business value out of their data solutions because you're learning agile project management, because you're learning presentation skills. You're ready to join a client and add immediate value, which other people might not have learned those skills, even if they have learned how to code. So it's very much setting you up for career acceleration. We're finding that our consultants are accelerating after their 2 years of consulting with Kubrick into senior positions very quickly, earning anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 in their first roles outside of Kubrick. So it sets you up for position with 2 years of amazing experience with real clients to put you in a position to accelerate your career beyond 2.5 years with Kubrick. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And looking forward to hearing from some of you in the coming days. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to hear from you. Thank you so much for your time, guys.